Hey everyone, and welcome to Weld.com. Today we're going to be talking about VT, visual testing. We're just going to be talking about just basic, not a welder doing fitting work, just really basic VT inspection. And I'm going to talk about the tools you need and how quick and easy it is. That's going to help you make money and save time. All right, so we're just going to be talking about basic VT. We're not going to get in depth doing pipe and everything, just basic welding VT. He wanted to know, Joel Johnson, he was one of our subscribers. He recommended this. So we're going to go ahead and talk about the T-joint. So I want to show you guys just by looking at it with your own eyes and not with no flashlight or nothing, all right? So we're going to be looking at this. So we're basically just going to call out what indications do we see visually, all right? So a lot of people say this is a good weld. It is a good weld, looks really good, but let's call out some indications I see here. So there's quite a bit of indications. So you got rust right here. You get all this rust. So you gotta have that removed when you're doing a critical weld. Inspectors don't like to see none of that stuff. You gotta remove all that rust. There's this smoke line. Remove all that smoke line. All right. Let's see what else we see. We don't see no BBs or anything. See that silica? We gotta remove that silica right there, that glassy stuff. Inspectors don't want to see that, all right? You want to remove all that stuff. What else do we see here? See this right here? This leg looks like it's undersized, but how can we tell if we don't have no tools with us, all right? This is where this gauge is going to come into play, all right? So, so that's what we see visually. This is all the indications we see. So we're going to go ahead and bring these gauges into play. You can get these at Radnor, online, Amazon. They're about 35 bucks. This is master gauge. You get gal. So we're basically going to know, hey, we'll have someone saying, hey, I need a 3/8 weld or a 1/4 inch weld laid down, or your blueprints will say 1/4 inch or 3/8 weld. So how would you know that? You can't measure it with your tape measure, really. So you go ahead and get these Phillips gauges right here. So you got your convection of your throat right here. It's got to be 3/4 with these lines right here. And your throat has to touch this middle right here. That's where it has to touch. Then you got your concave, all right? Concave is the bowl, all right? That's what concave is. Then this is how you check your toes. Your toes is going to be like this. If you want to check your toes of your weld, all right, is like that and like that. That's how you would check it. Let's say I just got done welding this and I call you guys over and I want you to inspect this, all right? So just by coming and looking at this, I just be like, okay, there's smoke right here. This is the smoke line. So inspectors want that gone. You got to have that gone. All right. What else do you guys see here? All right. I see rust right here, all over the weld right here. So that's got to be gone. What else do we see? I don't see no spatter when I'm looking at it straight on right here. I don't see nothing. What else I see is like the leg kind of snakes right here. All right. Sometimes you got to know what the size of your welds. We don't know if that's undersized or oversized. We don't know if our legs are big enough, our bottom leg or top leg. What else do we see here? We don't see no porosity. We don't see no overlap. We don't see no lack of fusion, looks like. So that's what just visually without your tools look like, all right? Then also, you take it a step further. You definitely always need a flashlight, all right? It don't have to be this big. This is just what I had in my locker or my tool cabinet. I usually get a coast. I usually have a coast like 3 inches long, 4 inches long, and it takes double A's. So I'll show you just by looking at with a flashlight how much more indications you can see. All right, so just by looking at it straight on with this, I can see the silica. See the silica on the glass? See the silica? It's like a glassy stuff right there, if you guys don't know what that is. All right, what else do we see here? So I see a little BB. If I turn this plate sideways like this and hold my plate, or you don't have to turn it sideways, you could just go like this. And you want to look at your light, kind of take your light, go like this at different angles, because the shadows that from the light basically is going to show you the indications. So we got a lot more BBs right here. Some places don't even like the small BBs, like when you're doing nuclear work. That's where I did a lot. So you would have to wire wheel all these little BBs off. So there's bigger BBs right here. They're still small. I mean, when you're doing critical work, and there's this BB right here, you gotta get that off, the spatter. So you have to get that off. So we'll write BBs right here. You can write whatever spatter, it's the same thing. All right. So that's looking at this way. So also, You see how this, let's see if we can get the shadows. See how this is casting a shadow right there? See, that's telling you the weld's inconsecutive right here. As soon as I see that, my thought is, okay, I need my weld gauges out, all right? We'll get to that here in a minute. All right, so let's go ahead and write all our indications down. So we got smoke, you wanna remove that. We're keeping this nice and simple. We're not gonna get into no depth doing pipe. So we gotta remove that smoke. We gotta remove this rust. We got rust right here. I spelled rust with the E. The silica, the glassy stuff. All right, what else do we see? I don't see nothing else so far. We got inconsecutive, I mean, the kind of snakes. We don't know if this is undersized. We could write undersized maybe right now. Undersized. So these are the Phillips gauges. They come in all different sizes from 1/8 inch all the way up to 1 inch. You gotta understand how to use these. So we're gonna start out with 3/16, all right? So 3/16, this is, you're gonna check your throat. Right here is your throat. So how you check your throat is, you hold this completely flat and you bring it up to it, all right? That's how you check your throat. And if it's touching it in the middle, you're looking right in the middle here, all right? And your gauge is away from this a little bit, away from the metal, all right? You know you're good that way, all right? I usually check it both ways, all right? And when you check your throat, you know, I mean, you kind of run it all the way down. But remember, see how this has got all squiggly right here? You know your throat's going to change. So that's, in my mind, I'm thinking, hey, I need to pay attention to that. That's the first spot I'm going to check, all right? So I'll come over here. See, we're all good right here. That's how you would check your throat, just by checking it, all right? You want to check lots of spots, all right? But if it's your first time, or getting a good habit of just starting at the beginning and dragging all the way down, all right? That's how you check your throat. How do you know what size throat you need? Your WPS will tell you, or your inspector will tell you, all right? Let's say we need a 1/4 inch throat. How do I know if this is big enough, or how do I know if this is bad enough? So we're gonna go ahead and find our 1/4 inch gauge. So you gotta run through your pile here and find your 1/4 inch gauge. All right, there's your 1/4 inch gauge. It says 1/4 inch right there. So we're going to check we're going to first check the throat. So there's the throat. Let's check 1/4 inch throat. We're still good. All right, let's move up to a bigger one. Let's go 5/8. All right, 5/8 throat. All right, this is a bad throat. See how it's not touching? That's bad. It's not touching in the middle right here. That's where you want it. That's bad, very bad. So that tells me it's undersized. The way to fix that is, you gotta start stacking beads. We're gonna be here, we're gonna be there, all right? And just keep doing that from bottom to top until that throat, until this touches your throat. So how to check your toes, your top toe or your bottom leg or upper leg. People call it different things. So you grab your gauge right here. See right here, just how you check your toe. Some people would say go to this line, but most of the places always have a little space right here. You'll have a little space right here when you're checking it. So this is how you want to check it. So you got to keep this completely flat. If this is like this, it's wrong, all right? You're going to get bad measurements, all right? You can't go like this. You want to keep it flat. You're looking right here at this light. If there's light like this, bad, all right? Keep it flat. So when this top leg, when this touches, you know you're good. I'm talking about exactly right here. See that right there? So that's telling me it's 3/16. It is at least 3/16, that top leg. All right, that's telling me it's good. If we're going off a 3/16 weld, we flip it over here. All right, it's a 3/16 still, and we got a gap right here. See how we got a gap right here? That's good still. So we're good at 3/16. Let's say we want to go up to, I don't know, 5/8 again. We're gonna check our top toe. This is always called your top toe, remember that. So we're gonna check our top toe, grab this gauge, and we're gonna put it here, remember that. We're gonna bring it here. See how that's not touched? See, look at that. That toe should be way up here, way up there. We don't have no light through here and it's not touching. It should be spaced out a little bit, all right? A lot of people saying this line right here, they taught that in welding school, but out in the world, they always want a little space right here. You never aim for exact of the weld. If you're aiming for 5/8, it's already too small. All right, you want to aim always for a little bit bigger, a 16th bigger or 1/8 bigger at the most. All right, same thing with this. See the bottom leg? It's way too small. Let's say it's got to have a 5/16 weld. All right. So we would check it right here. See how it's right there? It's got a gap. That'd be way too small. Way too small right there. This is all be small, this weld right here on both sides. All right, let's drop it down to a 1/4 inch. Let's see how tight a 1/4 inch, because when you start getting within 16ths and 30 seconds, it changes the ball game. So we're gonna jump to a 1/4 inch. We're gonna check our toes with 1/4 inch. So 1/4 inch, this weld would still pass as a 1/4 inch. I guarantee you this is not gonna pass as 1/4 inch. They would make you go ahead and fix that. Look, see how that's not passing? There's no light right here. See how there's light right there? You can see, barely see it. So this is a good weld for 1/4 inch. This will pass as a, right here wouldn't pass. See right here. See, it looks like it's gonna be good, but it's not. See how it's kind of touching? This plate bowed right here. And actually, it's not bowed. See this grind mark? There's base metal reduction right here. I can see that right now. You couldn't see it earlier. We didn't call it out. So that tells me we gotta bring another gauge in later, and I'll show you how to check BMR. So that's not touching, and a 1/4 inch, this weld would fail. Way to fix that is put 2 welds on top of it. One weld right here and weld right here. All right, so that's how you would check. That's how you would check with this. All right, we did upper toe, bottom toe, and we also checked your throat. So let's go ahead and check using this gauge. It's gonna be this is called a Gal gauge, or this is the name brand Gal. It's usually called a VWAC. So you could check with porosity. The size of these holes right here is porosity. You could check for undercut, and you could check for convex. Underfill, I mean, you can check for undercut, underfill, excess reinforcement, or basically 1/8 inch or more, or 1/8 inch and less you want. So if on this scale right here, 0 down is negative. You're basically underfill. You're overfill, excuse me. And right here, 0 and up right here, you're underfill. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at this, and I'll show you if we have any like BMR, base metal reduction or anything. So before we couldn't see this base metal reduction, all right? So we don't have no porosity or nothing, all right? There's no porosity. I don't see no porosity, so that part's useless right now. So we're just gonna use this gauge as a check for kind of straight, make sure we don't have no BMR. So you would hold your gauge kind of sideways. Why? Because this metal, you're going to get this gauge. You want at least 3/4 of this gauge on there. Because if you have half, you can rock it. All right, I turn it sideways, and you want to try to keep it much as you can on there. And we're just going there. You're looking for light. If you don't see no light, you're good. All right. So we're just going to keep dragging it. Keep dragging it. Keep dragging it. All right. We're going to be approaching that BMR. See how we can see light? So that's telling me the welder was grinding something off right here. All right. He was excited taking stuff down. Look how it got big. See it right there? It's getting bigger. So right now, let's say the code book is you can't have nothing under a 32nd. How you read this gauge is you got 0, and then each line. The big lines are 16ths. See how it goes 1/16, 1/8, 3/16, 1/4 inch. All right. The first little line is a 64th. All right. Then you got 2 64ths. That's a 32nd. All right. Then you got 3 64ths. That's right there. That's the third line. And how many 64ths equals a 16th? 4. So that's 1/16. So where this was a 64th under base metal. Most places will say that's good, all right? 64th is nothing. Make sure this is down like this, and I just see how I'm pushing it down, and I go like that, and I check it. Okay, we're a little bit, basically 64th. See if I had this nut in here, this would be easier. We'll come over here and check. Right there is a lower spot right there. Nope, we're good at 64th. So right there, this is, even though this, they would call this base metal reduction, depends where you're at. In the nuclear world, this would actually be still good because it's under a 32nd. If it's over a 32nd, they would say BMR, and you cannot even fix that right now. Okay, we're gonna note here, this is still good, but there's kind of a grind mark. So you kind of let the upper inspector, use a level 3 inspector. If you're level 2, you always tell the upper person, you'll use a level 3 or a CWI. So you would go ahead and tell them and just point it out to them. Hey, can you look at this, make sure I did my inspections fine, in case you're a novice. If you're not a QC or anything, doing this will help you speed yourself up. You're not wasting your company time, and you're gonna make yourself a way better welder. So we're just going to note this. Okay, there's BMR here, but it's still good there. Also, what else did we notice with the flashlight? We noticed there was a shadow right here. All right, but we were good on our leg because we're saying this is a 3/16 weld. All right, so this was still passable as a 3/16. Even with that leg like that, we're still good. They would still pass it because we're at 3/16. All right, if you overshoot that, let's say you go to 5/8 with that weld, they're gonna fail your ass or fail your butt really quick, because what you're doing is you're changing that structure, that grain structure of that steel, and actually you can make that steel fail and actually break and cause the grain structure to go differently. Well, let me think. Basically, you're changing the grain structure. You actually make it weaker than metal by heating it up so much and forcing all that heat in there. So you always want to try aim a 1/16, 1/8 at the max on your weld on the oversized. Never aim for exactly at 3/16. Never do that. Aim for a little bit over. If you want to get bigger weld, increase your wire feed speed a little bit. So we're done talking about T-joints. Let's talk about one last joint really quick. We're going to talk about this. Just a flat weld right here, 3/8 plate, open groove, open root here. So this is done with a 7018. So just by looking at this, see how this plate's bowed? How are you going to check this with a gauge? All right, just by looking at what we see already. All right, let's write it again. We got underfill right here. You call it underfill, so we got underfill right here. That's all right here. That's underfill. All right, we're not talking about, we're just talking about inspection, basic inspection for a welder. So what else we got? Looks like we have an arc mark. That's going to fail you automatically. All right, you want to fix that before an inspector comes. All right, we got arc mark. I mean, write this stuff out even on your, even on your piece when you're welding on it. It helps you. All right, what else do we have? All right, we see a little grind mark. Let's just check that grind mark. Let's just check that. It can be BMR. We're gonna put a question mark right here. We might have undercut. All right, we got a spatter right here. Looks like, no, we don't have no spatter. All right, so that's looking at visual. Let's bring the flashlight out. This is the first thing I always grab. I don't even look at this barely. I always have a flashlight like this. I don't never look at it with bare eyes, just looking at it normally. So I just take my flashlight and start shining it this way, like this. See what's going on. All right, so right here, see how there's a shadow casting? There's a shadow like this. So there's a little bit of undercut. People call it undercut, underfill. But I'm calling this undercut because I could tell just from experience your weld ate away. All right, you didn't hold this, you didn't hold your puddle. This was welded at 2G or 2G horizontal, and they didn't hold their top edge of their puddle. They didn't hold their top edge up there and let it fill in up there. So that's going to be undercut, or not let it fill in. It basically ate it away because it got so hot. People argue with that all the time, undercut, underfill, but I'm calling that undercut right there. What else do we have here? We'll shine this way. See what else? I always shine different ways. All right, well, this might be an 1/8 inch right here. See that little hump right here? You see it? There's a hump right here. The hump's caused from start or restart. So we're gonna go ahead and check that. We're gonna check it with our VWAC. All right. So how I do this is, I always zero out my gauge, make sure it's zeroed out good, make sure it's accurate, make sure it's 0. All right, then I'm gonna come over here just like this again. Find this spot and just come down, just like that. Make sure there's no light. I'm just gonna read it. All right, we can't be above 1/8 inch. We're gonna go by code. So we're right below 1/8 inch. So what we're at is, we're above 16th. We're about, what is it? We're about a 64th past the 16th. Yeah, you guys can give me shit all about whatever them lines, but we're about a 16th. We'll call it about a half. We'll just call it about a 16th because that's what it looks like right there. So we're good there. We still keep checking other spots right here. All right, because maybe we didn't look good enough. Keep checking spots. All right, so we're good. So that's a 64th. Oh, that's a 32nd. All right, so while I got my gauge, I'm gonna just keep checking random spots right here. All right, just keep checking. So we're good here. We're not over 1/8 inch. So we got underfill right here. That's bad. It ate away from being too hot. And also he didn't pause. It could be underfill, undercut. So how we're going to check this is make sure you're always at 0. You're good. I always basically start like this, kind of low, but this is already low. And we're just going to kind of drop the gauge down. You want to make sure you're not dropping on your weld. Make sure there's no light here. All right, then I bring it up. I usually lock the bolt or the nut in. And I go ahead and read that. So we're basically a 64th underfill right at this edge right here. All right, right at this edge. Let's go a little bit deeper. All right, anything underfill is unacceptable. You gotta keep welding it up. So let's go ahead and keep checking this. So what we got here. So that's a 16th there. Let's check right here. Make sure your gauge is not hitting right here, all right? You gotta pay attention. So we're good right there. This is way below. This has gotta be an 1/8 inch here. So, see, I can't really get a good accurate reading. It's hitting right here. So we're gonna go ahead, rotate this plate, and I'm closer to this edge right here, and I won't hit it. See how I'm up? I always do that. And I bring it down, just like this. All right, and I grab it and just read it. So we're a good heavy 16th. So that's underfill, that's bad. They'll automatically fail you. You need to weld that up, all right? You need to do this before you call an inspector over here. You're wasting his time. So call an inspector. I mean, don't call an inspector, all right? Fill this up and fix it. So that's how you would check that stuff, all right? Also, there's mill scale right here. You gotta get that mill scale removed, all right? So that's how you use just basic tools of inspecting. This is what you want to use, and this is what you should have when you're starting your first job, starting whatever out of welding school. You need to have these gauges. It's very important. These are just basic gauges. These are good, cheap ways starting out. You know, I mean, you don't have to get into all the other gauges. All right, this is basic, starting out, beginning, learning how to VT without an inspector. All right, you gotta learn this. You're going to definitely make yourself a way better welder. All right. This weld right here is still acceptable in a commercial environment. People that's pushing out welds, pushing out parts. So yeah, so if you have these, you're gonna become a better welder because you're inspecting your weld, you know what to look for, you're understanding. I'll tell you a little story. This guy named Dustin Hammond, he was a level 2 QC. Me and him used to butt heads. This is like the first job I ever had with using these gauges and everything. I didn't even know these gauges invented. I mean, use them, except in school. As soon as I got welding school, I went into Boilermakers, got into welding, and my first job was not first job, about the third job, I was welding at a nuke plant. And we were clashing heads. He thought I was being a smart butt and everything, but I wasn't. I was asking, why is that bad? Why is this bad? And everything looked good to me. I'm going like just off school. And we were butting heads like crazy, we were arguing. And finally, after a month, he kind of understands, he's just trying to learn and stuff, all right? Always ask questions. Basically, the point is always ask questions, always learn. But we were just butting heads. After that, we were like best friends after that, and we still are. So always ask questions, guys. So yeah, I hope this really helps. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I know you definitely learned something, and this will definitely improve your skills and knowledge and help you and your company out. Remember, learning is key. I'm Mancub, and thank you.